Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Turn Left. I am your host, Indiana's own Dana Black, coming to you live. Yes, all the way live from Black Pearl Studios, where we talk about Indiana politics from the left side of things. Y'all, it has been a crazy couple of weeks. I love the work that I do at Act Blue, so you know I've been busy. Because you know what? Y'all raising money. Y'all raising lots and lots and lots and lots of money. And why do I talk about raising money? You see, the current Republican mayor, Republican candidate for mayor of Indianapolis, he's raised a little money, but the vast majority of his money for his campaign is coming out of his pocket. Now, Dana, why are you bringing this up? Why is this important? It's important because the number of donors you have also represents the number of supporters you have. Think about that. If you are self-funding 60 to 75% of your campaign, then you only have 25 to 30% of folks supporting you. I'm just saying, just because you see a lot of commercials, just because he's spending millions of dollars on campaign ads, does not mean he has the support. So I'm just telling y'all, I'm making my one last pitch to my folks in Indianapolis. Do not sleep. Do not sleep. Turn out, go to the polls, and vote for Mayor Joe. Unless you want the State House in Indianapolis. Unless you want what's going on at the government center in Indianapolis. Because he's the locksmith to let him in. Our majority city council, our majority Democrat city council, and our Democratic mayor have, crafted ordinances and legislation that speak to the needs of the people of Indianapolis. And we sure as heck don't want somebody from rural Indiana, got 5 people in their town, 5, trying to decide what is best for a 900,000 person city, the largest city, the economic hub of the entire state. We don't want them folks in our city. So I need each and every one of y'all to make your plan, get out and vote. But what's going on? Well, it looks like Indy Star reports the Indiana Supreme Court has ruled that State Attorney General Todd Rokita engaged in attorney misconduct. Surprise, surprise, surprise. When he made comments on Fox News about Indianapolis OBGYN who performed an abortion on a 10-year-old rape victim from Ohio. Rokita will receive a public reprimand and will pay $250, which ain't nothing, to the clerk of the Indiana Supreme Court, according to opinion issued on Thursday. The opinion states it was misconduct for Rokita to describe Dr. Caitlin Bernard as an abortion activist acting as a doctor with a history of failing to report. Rokita made those comments in July of 2022 on Fox News. Who cares who's hosting it? Justices Mark Massa, Jeffrey Slaughter, and Derek Moulter agreed in the opinion released Thursday that Rokita violated attorney conduct rules. Chief Justice Loretta Rush and Justice Christopher Goff, in a dissenting opinion, said the discipline was too lenient given Rokita's position as Attorney General. So y'all hear that the Supreme Court said that he was out of line. He had attorney misconduct because basically he lied. Basically, he was telling false truths and all of that. But just in case, my reading comprehension isn't what it should be, I will read to you what Attorney General Todd Rokita said when he tweeted, "First things first, I deny and was not found to have violated anyone's confidentiality or any laws. I was not fined and will continue as Indiana's duly elected Attorney General." Okay, no, they didn't say that you broke a law. But what they said was you were engaged in attorney misconduct. And I'm not really sure if $250 is a fine, but it sounds like a fine to me. So I don't know how many ways from Sundays I can tell you Attorney Todd Rokita must go bye-bye next year. Do I have any attorneys in the building that might want to run for office next year? Come holla at your girl. Let me help you get on the ballot next year so we can get rid of this clown. someone who has humiliated Indiana for the past 3 years. It's time for him to go bye-bye. Don't y'all want to help me get rid of this clown? I do. I want to get rid of him. And just for its and giggles, in case you were still trying to figure out as you get, we thinking about 2023, taking care of municipal races, and you're thinking about 2024, and we got the United States Senate race, and we got governor races and things like that. And if you haven't figured out which Republican to vote for in 2024 for governor of this amazing state, just so you know, Mike Braun has received an endorsement from the quadruple indicted orange wannabe gangster 45. I'm sure you were waiting to see who the Orange Meister was going to support is Mike Braun. I'm just saying, it seems like this guy is a kill pill for anybody's campaign. But hey, go Mike Braun. Not. We're not having it. We're going to make sure that he is not elected. NWI.com reports, because I'm going to tell you what Democrats are doing. While Republicans are in Congress fighting over who's going to be the speaker, and then they elect some MAGA Johnson character who has no bank accounts. I don't understand what that's all about. I've had one since I was 16 years old, because I do direct deposit. I don't go to the buy here, pay. The check cash in place. I go straight it goes direct deposit. So how this man don't have a checking account, I don't know. Maybe he's incorporated himself. I don't know. He was, the one that was working hard to overturn the 2020 election. This is the Speaker of the House now. But you see, Republicans in Congress really ain't trying to govern. They don't know how to govern. All they want are clickbaits. You got I almost said something wrong. My mom would have been mad. You got the clowns in there saying that there's no such thing as separation of church and state, or that we should get rid of it. Right. They want to impeach our president, but with no evidence. They are not doing anything. Has anyone out there seen what legislation Republicans are offering to improve the lives of humans in America? I have not. But I will tell you what a congressman from Indiana is doing. Northwest Indiana's representative in Congress wants to make it easier for survivors of domestic violence to access appropriate trauma-informed services when they're needed. U.S. Representative Frank Mervan of Highland last week filed the Safe Recovery Together Act in the Republican-controlled U.S. House. It proposes to establish a federal demonstration grant program to give domestic violence survivors access to substance use disorder programs that allow custodial parents and their children to remain together throughout the course of the treatment. Mervan said his goal is to address the lasting impacts of domestic violence, including struggles with mental illness, substance use disorder, and housing instability. He says, I look forward to working with my colleagues to pass this legislation and provide support and resources to survivors of domestic violence throughout our communities. I tell you what, Democrats are trying to look out for the people. Democrats are actually putting together policies and legislation to help people. Democrats actually care about the people. Democrats stand with unions. Look what's been happening with all the union activity this year. Democrats care about the middle class. Democrats. That's what we're doing. Now, I'm not trying to tell you that every Democrat is an upstanding, upstanding member of society. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying your chances of improving lives is significantly greater when there's a Democrat in office. That's all I'm saying. There's a lot going on this week. I know y'all excited about the election on Tuesday night. Check it out. I have a new opportunity that has come my way, and I'm super excited about it. I have joined Wish TV's political commentary team. I will be in a constant rotation, coming on and giving some insight on political issues. So be sure to tune in on Sunday mornings at 9:30 on Wish TV, Indiana's all locals, statewide channel. And you know what? They giving Indiana's Own some airtime, y'all. So let's shake it up and let's bring that Indiana's Own funk Tune in, hear the commentary. I'm super excited about the discussions and the panel discussions I will be on in conjunction. Make sure you tune in for their post-election coverage. I'm sure it'll be hot. Wish TV, y'all, Channel 8, right here in Central Indiana. All right, it's time for me to give a shout out to my sponsor all season long. Y'all give it up for Bohm's Unique Boutique. Today's show is brought to you by Bohm's Unique Boutique. Click on the QR code. And for all Turn Left listeners, you can get a 10% discount on your order by using the code Democrat. Be sure to visit www.bohmsuniqueboutique.com. Thank you so much, Bohm's Unique Boutique, for being a sponsor of Turn Left during this 2023 season. I hope we can re-up. Let's do it again. And by the way, I want to give a shout out to, I did 2 videos this year. Blythe Potter, who is running down in Johnson County, and Sarah Draper, who's running up in Hamilton County. I hope you guys check that out. So you see, I can actually do the work. But next year, when you guys are running, hit me up. I can help you with your campaign videos. All the Democratic organizations, if you want to put a video together, reach out to me. If you need somebody to come and MC your event, you need audio visual equipment, Black Pearl Studios has all of that. Black Pearl Studios is a traveling studio. Yes, I can pack it up and take it with me. So listen, let's keep it in the family. You know, I'm a Democrat. I care about Democrats. I just want to help Democrats. So trust, know, and believe my prices are going to be low. So as you're thinking about what you're going to be doing next year, be sure to reach out to Black Pearl Studios, scan the QR code, and let's do some business, y'all. Let's do some business. All right. Now, look at here. I know that I tell y'all all the time, my pronouns are she, he, they, because I like to keep people guessing. But you know I'm a Black woman all day, every day, and I couldn't be prouder. I couldn't be prouder of the ladies, 4 of them, the 4 ladies who have been running for mayor. You already met 2, so I'm not even going to talk about them tonight, Miss Goff and Miss Whitfield. But tonight, I'm coming from the north and I'm coming from the south. Y'all give it up. Okay, I'm gonna be cool. But I'm really excited because I mean, Black women rule the world. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be cool. Y'all give it up for my guest tonight. First up, a returning guest to Turn Left, Stephanie Terry, who is running for mayor of Evansville. Stephanie, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Dana. Glad to be here tonight.
Yay! And for a first-time rookie coming on the show all the way from Michigan City. Give it up for running for mayor of Michigan City. I'm going to mess it up. Angie, you told me just a minute ago. Say it for me.
Angie Nelson Deitch.
Deitch. I was about to mess it up again. See, that's what happens when you get on this side of 50. I literally just asked to make sure that I could pronounce it right and still forgot it. We're going to start with you, Miss Angie. Was there anything in my rant that piqued your interest you want to comment on?
Yeah. So it's first of all, thank you for having me on the show today. I mean, it's been a whirlwind and I've enjoyed running into you all over the state. I've seen you in Michigan City, seen you in French Lick, seen you in Indianapolis. So I appreciate all the work that you do. But our congressman, he's my congressman here. And I just had Congressman Frank at church 2 Sundays ago. So I took him to 2 services. I'm here in Michigan City, and we've sat down multiple times. I went over to DC in January for a SAMHSA conference. It was about mental health and drug prevention and law enforcement. And so it spoke volumes that he would be doing this legislation. You know, we went there as a team to talk to him specifically about funding around, you know, what can law enforcement do when they come up on a situation, whether it's mental health. And see, here in Michigan City, most of the shelters in LaPorte County are housed here, including the domestic violence shelter. So I'm excited that he is putting forth that legislation because we know that those services are important, and
absolutely
is basically the home to that. So he understands, he gets it, and
he cares about the people, man. Democrats.
Yeah,
Miss Stephanie, do you have anything from my rant you want to touch on real quick?
Yep. You know, the one piece that stuck out with me is your comments about all the money that's being raised by the Republican, the mayoral candidate in Indianapolis. And, it's important that you kind of reiterate the fact that just because you have all the money, you got to have those individuals and a broad base of supporters to ensure success on election day. And so that resonates really well with me down here in Southern Indiana.
I love it. I love it. Okay, I'm gonna be cool. I'm really about to bounce out of my skin right now because I love it when I can chop it up with my sisters. But at the same time, y'all, it is something special when I see Black women running for mayor. We haven't had a Black woman as mayor since Miss Karen up in Gary, and it's been way too long and way too few. Before we dive into who y'all are and where y'all come from, because I'm going to ask, what does representation mean to you? And Stephanie, I'm going to start with you. What does it mean? I mean, I know you're going to govern for everybody. You're not just governing for Black women. I know that. But what does representation mean for you when you become the mayor of Evansville?
It's vitally important that we have representation. And this process alone has just been so humbling for me. But I've watched women all over this country rise up into leadership roles, and to be sitting here and in this position right now, it blows my mind. Number one, the growth that I've encountered over the last 10 months, but more importantly, how I've inspired even young little girls.
Yes.
That this is something that is achievable. And I'm just going to continue to try to pour in and bring people alongside me to continue to move this city forward. And I'm just excited about the opportunity to be in such a leadership role, because in Evansville's history, I will be the first woman, but even, more than that, I'll be the first Black woman. And so we've had a saying in our community, E is for everyone. Electing me next week is really going to speak into that tagline and that mission that we want to be inclusive, an inclusive and welcoming environment for all in our city.
I love it. Miss Angie?
I echo the same things that Stephanie has said. And I do believe that we're ready for it. I would be the second woman, Miss Sheila Matthias. She was our first female mayor before I moved back here 20 years ago. And we haven't had one since. And I believe that it's time, but more importantly, we are the most qualified individuals that are running in these races. And, I find it, interesting when people ask that question, how do you feel about being the first Black mayor? And I said, well, I will be the most qualified mayor first. But I think it's awesome, being in a non-traditional role as an electrical engineer, and being in those non-traditional, job roles. I've always seen how women lead differently. Mm-hmm. We're empathetic leaders, but we're authentic in who we are. I remember a time when, as a woman, if you were an engineer or in those positions where you were expected to act a certain way, even if that wasn't your authentic self.
That's it. Code switch.
Yes, so you had to code switch. And I think now is the time that, I'm leading from a perspective of youth and leadership as well. Mm-hmm. Our team, just on the campaign trail, our team ranges anywhere from 4 years old to 84 years old.
Wow.
And that's different for people to see young people participating in the process, but also seeing who I call my golden girls stepping up and doing things for me. So we, again, are embracing everybody. So I love that E is for everyone, because we have really took the time over these last, and I won't even say 2 years. I've been back 20 years, and I think everything that I've done in the 20 years has led up to this time and place. But particularly the last 2 years, we have really focused on engaging everyone from the community. I
love it. And listen, guys, just because the election is on Tuesday does not mean you cannot start donating for their reelection campaign. I have included their ActBlue links on this live feed. So go ahead, donate to their campaigns, because they're gonna need it for the reelection. So just go ahead and start donating now. Just start
I love
donating now.
Act Blue.
Hey.
Act Blue has been awesome.
Listen.
You see my Act Blue, you know.
Let me tell you something. And this show ain't about me, but I divine right timing. I am at the right place at the right time doing all the work. We had a retreat a couple weeks ago, and it's one thing like, you know how when some people watch you cook fried chicken and they surprised that you use Lawry's, and then there's other people and they cook and they say you ain't got no Lawry's, they not eating your food. You know what I'm saying? It's something to be said about being with your people and your people giving you your flowers. It was a week full of folks calling me a legend, and I didn't even know I was resonating like that with my coworkers. But yo, enough about me. Donate to these candidates. Use the Act Blue link. I'm in heaven right now. All right, Angie, tell the people who you are and where you come from.
Well, I'm born and raised in Michigan City. So I'm a sixth generation Michigan City resident. And my family has been here forever. I left though. Our family moved when manufacturing was closing down in the late 80s, and we moved to Florida. So I went to Florida A&M University.
Hey, family.
I'm a Rattler and a proud HBCU graduate. And so I graduated from the FAMU FSU College of Engineering. And then after that, during that time there, though, I learned a lot because, my high school here was very integrated. We were very diverse in our school. So it was a different experience transitioning. I thought I was going to be a Boilermaker the whole entire time I was in school. And then a great person here in our community helped a lot of us African-American students get prepared for college. And she said, well, your dad is in Florida. Have you ever considered FAMU? And they're #1 in recruiting National Merit Scholars. And I was like, oh, no, I never heard of it. And that started my journey there. And I had wonderful internships. And then after that, I moved into Texas, where I worked for the phone company for 10 years and moved around, lived in Houston, San Antonio. I lived in St. Louis twice. And then we purchased Ameritech, and I was moved to Hoffman Estates and eventually transitioned back home to Michigan City and commuted to Chicago. And then took a buyout and decided, hey, before they became AT&T, moved back, just started raising my kids and working part-time and became an activist in the community. And, I just was that person that people will call on, with their kids, with something going on in school or if there was an issue. So I had a Girl Scout troop, and then I coached soccer and track and basketball, you name it. And just became very active. So I ran for city council in 2007, and I won at large with a different last name, #1 vote getter.
Come on.
In the primary and general election after being gone for 15 years. And it was all grassroots. I didn't have any money, nothing.
That's
me and my kids going door to door, knocking. My youngest, who's at IU now in grad school, she was the ringer. She was like 5, and she knocked on that door, and people were like, "Oh, she was the ringer." So I will say that it's been a family thing. But then, as life happens, I decided not to run again, and got my master's in public affairs at IU, and then I started law school.
Oh.
And
come on, ambitious.
I like school. And so
lifelong learner, baby.
Hey, after my first year though, I was on break teaching at Ivy Tech, just doing some side hustle gigs. And
I'm sorry, teaching at a university, be it a JUCO or a tech college, is not a side hustle, honey. A hustle is on the street corner. You know what I'm talking about. Or selling purses and body butter. That's a hustle.
Wait. I was doing tech support from my basement for a local manufacturer.
Come on, STEM hustle.
Teaching at Ivy Tech, still on the city council. I had like 4 jobs. So they were all side hustles.
I ain't mad at
you. Pay the bills. But during that time, I had so many opportunities, and I sat on boards with people, and an opportunity came to move to the utility company. And I was on break, not looking for a job, and I ended up in public affairs and government relations with NIPSCO. And it was just a whirlwind. You know, you go from being a law school, single mom, broke, to getting a paycheck. So, you know, it was, and I tried to stay in law school, and it just was too much because my daughter, my oldest, ended up at Purdue, West Lafayette. And
and honestly, I gotta say, it's kind of interesting that your STEM brain, engineering brain, was even doing the law school, because those are two different brains right there. Like that's
it's true, because when I left the phone company, I thought I could just jump up and go take the LSAT, and my ego was sat right down. And so I didn't do law school because that was my intent. And it was like, oh, I can go take this test. I'm a double E. Yeah, ego was sat right down when I got my score. So I took a little time for that score to fall off before I could go back.
Amen.
But I will say, it changed the way my thought process. It changed everything. It changed my world and how you look at both sides of the coin when you're making decisions. And my kids, so we're a blended family, and we have 4 kids. My husband is retired, you know, Army, 22.
Hey, thank you for serving.
Years, you know, has a Purple Heart, and he's from Michigan City. He moved back after he retired. So, you know, long story short, 4 kids. Our girls, very smart. First one, Purdue. Second one graduated from IUPUI. Baby graduated from IU, and our son is in the Air Force. So
come on now,
yeah,
come on now.
We are that family, and my siblings are all on their way here from Florida, Texas, and New Mexico
to celebrate.
I'm the oldest of 7.
Woo.
So, you know, my mom is my campaign office manager. She works for me part-time in my consulting business. You know, my mom went back to school after all of us. She went back and got her degree at 60.
Wow. So you it's in you. You didn't have no other choice. It's just in you.
Yeah. So we are that group, and our family, we're givers and we're doers. And, you know, so even with that, my family, they've been super supportive.
That is so dope. That's why you being successful. All right, Stephanie, tell the people who you are and where you come from.
Well, first, Angie, my side hustles are graphic design and planning events. So
see, I think all right with the side hustles.
No, but I'm born and raised here in Evansville. This is my home. My parents are from, you know, this area as well, and my mom was a church secretary, and my dad, he was a deacon. So I grew up in the church.
All right. Look at them Democrats with some Christianity in them. What?
That's right.
You know, my dad then went into ministry. And so, you know, one of my favorite childhood memories is singing at his initial sermon. That was the first time that I sang a solo in church, and really the first time I was on a platform in front of people. And I think really has fueled a lot of, you know, who I am today. And so I'm grateful for all that they poured into me. And, you know, when I announced I was, you know, running for mayor, at first they were hesitant because of the nastiness that comes with politics. I'll tell you, my dad he's 74 and he wants to be at every forum, and every event that we possibly have. And so I'm so grateful to have them still in my life. I'm a mother. I have 3 children, and my youngest is a senior this year. So I just ordered graduation announcements earlier today, trying to keep up with everything to ensure, you know, we get him off to college this year. In terms of, you know, just work, you know, I have had an amazing journey. You know, much like Angie, I feel like everything that I've done is, you know, aligned for this time right now. And so, you know, I started out when I went to college. I went to Kentucky State University, you know, thinking I'm going to be a doctor.
Okay, and, doctor.
You know, I learned very quickly I didn't have the bedside manner or you know, the discipline that I needed to continue that path. And so after I graduated, got my bachelor's in biology, you know, you decided after college and that I was going to take up health services administration. And so received my master's when I returned home. And I worked in a nursing home for a couple of years, and that was depressing. And, you know, then at that point, I decided nonprofit is where I wanted to be. And so I began to work in the youth and education, you know, sector in nonprofit, you know, space. And that's where I've been ever since. And I'm really really glad about, where that's taken me and the connections it's allowed me to have and the doors it's opened. And, in addition to that, just really, I think my involvement, in college, and even before then, I have been in a competitive space. It's in my nature. I don't know what it is, from drama to basketball to volleyball, you name it, I was in it. And so, that's really right now where I want to give my all. And I try to instill that into, my children, as well as, those that I mentor. I mentor this young lady. She's going to graduate this year too. We've been, I've been mentoring her since she was in middle school. And when I tell you the excitement that she sees in me in running for mayor, I'm just excited for her. I'm like, you're talking about colleges, and so it's just been a rewarding journey, and I'm so honored, really to be in this position and be able to give back. I thought, after college, I came home, ran for school board, and after I lost, I kind of put politics aside. Like, this is not my calling. And even later, a couple years after that, I was asked to run for city council, and I ran against, somebody that had been in office for, well, their name was well known, and I lost terribly.
Okay. Well,
and
it happens.
Got that, it was nasty in the end. And so I vowed, this is, again, this is not who I am, and really gave it up for a very long time. And then, sure enough, a few years later, a local African-American, he had served on our county council for a number of years, 18 to be exact.
Oh,
and
wow.
He was relocating from the city and called me up one day and said, "Hey, do you want my seat?" And I said, Huh? What? No, like me? But, after some, long, conversation and thinking about it, I did decide to do that. It also happened to be the same year. It was an election year. And so 4 months later, I was then elected to that seat, and I've been in my seat for 12 years now. And so
love it.
I just feel like everything's aligned, from the nonprofit work, the government work, the public health service, it's just all fits very nicely into taking this next leadership role as the mayor of the city.
You know what, both of you all, first of all, amen for the advanced degrees and the side hustles. Like, I'm gonna do it the their way, and I'm still gonna do it our way. You know what I'm saying? So, yay for all of that and being multifaceted. But guys, can I just say, ladies, y'all are blowing me away, because you are right. Angie, y'all are the most qualified. I'm listening to your stories. I'm listening to your experiences. And it just so happens that the most qualified candidates are Democratic Black women. It just so happens, because I'm listening to y'all's resumes and I'm like, for real? There's not a lot of Black women in STEM. Right. And you went into the nonprofit world. That's a whole nother. It's about fundraising. And they swear Black women can't fundraise.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? And you guys are breaking ground. But one thing I noticed early on, Stephanie, like right after the primary, or right before the primary, I was in Bloomington with Nicole, because that's the only reason and they think I'm an honorary Bloomingtonian. I'll be trying to tell them now. But and we went to like the primary after watch party, and there were some union brothers and sisters from Evansville, and they were dropping your name. You had union support down there in Evansville early. I gotta ask, what did they see? What were you doing down there for the union folks to be like, yo, do y'all know Stephanie? Y'all need to get with Stephanie. What's up?
More than anything, people just want an advocate. They want somebody that's going to, be an ally for them. And so that's what I've proven early on, and just in my service already, that you can count on me to really be intentional about keeping the people in mind. And so that's who I am. I've worked hard all my life. And so I want to support working families and uplift everybody.
I love it. I love it. Indiana's own Dana Black, turn left. I'm talking to Angie and Stephanie, who are running for mayors of their beautiful cities of Michigan City and Evansville. I hope you were enjoying this conversation. Now, we've done all the niceties. Y'all had a chance to get to know them. Let's get to the nitty gritty. Angie, what's going on in Michigan City that made you say, I need to be the mayor of this city? And talk about, well, let's start there. What were the reasons why for, what was going on in Michigan City that you felt like you needed to be that voice?
Well, I took an 8-year hiatus, and so before I was thinking to myself, okay, do I run for mayor? And this was the last election, or run for city council. And it was a family decision because my daughter was still in college and I still needed to have a job.
Right, right.
So it was like, hey, you have to weigh your family situation too. And so I decided to run for city council with the intent of deciding midway through my term if I was going to run for mayor or not. And the reason why, I mean, there is a lot of things happening in Michigan City. And my concern is that poverty, we have a high rate of poverty in Michigan City, and we have a lot of development happening. And the census tract that butts up to those, that is adjacent to all that nice, development, is where all the poverty is. So I don't want us to eliminate or push anybody out of the city that is here. We have to figure out a way. You need someone who, first of all, has the forethought and the foresight to be very authentic and sympathetic and empathetic to the needs of the community. Someone who's been laid off twice, someone who's had those disconnect notices, someone who's been through some things, that understands the plight of the people. I've been laid off twice in my lifetime, and it's not an easy thing. And we know that people are struggling. And I believe, it's our time. Someone who sits on nonprofit boards, I sit on the United Way board and our community foundation board, but I've also sat on other nonprofit boards. So we understand the need. I understand the needs of the community, but what's happening is it's been stagnant. All the neighborhoods have been stagnant. We have a riverboat fund, and we've done nothing in the neighborhoods. And so I just feel that I am that voice of reason that can build relationships across the region with the state, with our congressmen, and go get the money that we need to make sure that everybody has a piece of the pie. And that's kind of how that all came about. And then I thought, I'm gonna come out early. I knew 2 years ago, we set up our committee 2 years ago, did all the right things. I said, well, I'm hoping I scare everybody out of the primary. Well, instead, everybody jumped in the primary.
What?
So a very, competitive primary in early in the election. So it was 5 of us, and everybody had been elected before. Former mayor, a county councilman, and 2 city council people. So it was a tough primary, but I still had over 50% of the vote. So it worked.
Wow. Wait, hold up. That's a lot of people, and you still had over 50% of the vote?
Yeah, yes, I did. We worked hard. So, but that's what, bringing everybody together, that E for everyone. And I don't think I think people took that for granted, that people want someone who is engaged in the community that meets everybody where they're at. It's not about name recognition. It was about meeting people where they're at, and that was the outcome.
I love it. Stephanie, what's going on in Evansville that you like, I need to be the one. I'm the one.
Well, you know what? It honestly, opportunity. The current mayor decided he was not running. He's been in office for 12 years. And so there was opportunity. I'll tell you, I had the thought, yeah, maybe there's something more that you're supposed to do in this community. But did I believe that it would be mayor and that as an African-American woman, I could lead this city? Absolutely not. And so it took me a long time really to get to a yes. And I would say almost 6-7 months to get to a yes. Because I really wanted to be sure I block out some of the outside voices that were telling me, you need to do this. We want.
Because your friends will tell you can walk to the moon, won't they?
Yeah. And I tell you, 7 months long, people were all in my head. And I had to make that decision for myself. But it was probably early January, and specifically, the day before Martin Luther King's birthday, that it really hit me. And I had heard the same message over and over and over again. And to sum it up, it was like, it's your time. You are the one that needs to be at the table. You've done the work. You put in the time. You've earned the respect of this community. Why not? Why not you? And, that night after that, Martin Luther King service, I came home and was right in my husband's face and was like, let's move, let's go. And
That's
he's
what's
like, "Are you
up.
for real this time?" Right? Because I had said no before, But he's like, "Are you serious?" I said, "Yeah," and there's tears in my eyes, and I tell you, I've not regretted this decision since then.
See, you got me thinking about Mary. Go get it, honey. Go get it. Oh my God. All right. Now that we know why you want to do it, Angie, you talked about, specific needs of communities who have been left behind, and you don't want to leave anybody behind. And Stephanie, you talking about opportunities, but running for office is one thing, but you got to govern. And you're going to have to work with your city councils to get those budgets approved. And everybody knows where you want to spend your money is where your priorities are. Stephanie, I'm going to start with you. You got Alex B down there. Alex Burton is the dopest. Bruh, I have dreams for him he don't even know about.
No, you probably everybody else.
Oh my God, I got dreams for him. Talk about the first items that you want to tackle, and also talk about how you plan to work with your city council, because again, they're the fiduciary body of the city. You've got to work with them. So what does that leadership style look like in working with the council?
Yeah. So I'll tell you, I spent the summer doing a listening tour, and I went into every city ward. I even did some specialty groups as well, from the Latino community, LGBTQI community. I sat down with folks and listened to their concerns. I also listened to their dreams, and that really what spoke into what I released was our Forward Together plan, and it maps out what we hope to do in the space of public safety, youth and safe recreation. It talks about city services and how we want to offer high quality services. It also speaks about economic development, and then finally neighborhood development. And so I think from a priority standpoint and policy, one of the first things, the initial things that I really want to do after we do an independent kind of financial assessment, because we've got some challenge there, but we want to kind of understand where we are there. But also is forming a blue ribbon commission, and I want to bring together developers, contractors, our trades, and then our department heads that are in that space to really talk through what is hindering people from doing business and growing their business in our community. Why is it taking so long for us to do housing and construction in our community? And so really understanding that and trying to remove some of the red tape so that we can get some dirt turned a little bit quicker than what we are right now, because we're seeing people go to outlying counties, and if we don't continue to grow, this community is going to die. And so that's one of the first things I want to do in terms of policy, is really figure out how do we change some of our zoning and code requirements so that we can do meaningful development in this next year. I think the other thing that for me that we've heard quite a bit on is really neighborhood development. Angie spoke to it a little bit. Our downtown, it's our economic hub. It's our economic engine. 20% of the jobs in our city are downtown.
Wow.
And so we want to continue to grow downtown and develop downtown. But I think everybody in the community is like, well, enough with downtown. What about my neighborhood? And so those neighboring neighborhoods, really trying to put some investment there and building out these neighborhood corridors where there's, small grocery stores and access to food, which, we've got some food insecurity areas and food deserts. And so we want to address those problems, but also, update, our neighborhood parks and other green spaces so that people, again, feel like there's a sense of hope in their neighborhood. And I think those are the top areas I want to put my attention on initially. In terms of work with the city council, number one, I'm just trying to encourage everybody. You need to vote our Democrat candidates back more than anything, because we have the majority now, and I'm hopeful that we're able to retain that because we've already started to talk about and align our vision for moving forward. And so I think it's going to be pretty easy and seamless if that is the case. If we do lose some of our Democrat, council members, I have shown as a member of the county council that I can work in a professional and bipartisan manner. And so I will continue to do that, utilize the relationships that I've built with my counterparts on the Republican side, both on the local and state level, to continue to really move the city forward.
I love it. Same question for you, Angie. What are the priorities for you going in as mayor, and how will you work with your council?
Well, being a member of the city council, I've built relationships with our council members, several that will be reelected, but we have a new group of folks, which is
Okay.
awesome, some young people. But I would say my first priority is actually building the morale back up in the city with our employees
Mm.
and building some cohesiveness, letting them know that they are the frontline workers that are doing the work,
Mm-hmm.
and making sure that I build a framework for strong customer service city center. And right now we don't have that. As Stephanie mentioned, we have a lot of issues. Most of our complaints are around whether it's trash, refuse, but permitting, zoning,
Mm-hmm.
those same issues. We make it hard for people to want to be here as small business owners. And we have a very, very relaxed complaint intake system where if you know somebody, you'll get something done.
Mm.
And everybody should have a seat at the table. So it's going to take us that first year to build a sense of self and build a culture within the city government. And a lot of those things that I'm really focusing on is how do I elevate them and let them know that they can make decisions and that they can do things within the city. So supporting them, but then turning around our neighborhoods, we know they've been neglected.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a couple of programs. There's the internship program I want to implement for our local. We have a Promise Scholarship where we give our residents $5,000 graduating seniors. Well, I want to expand that. I'm looking for matching dollars with Ivy Tech to make sure that we have certifications for those jobs that are available here in Michigan City, but then turn around and have wraparound services with Goodwill, with Center for Workforce Innovation, to make sure they have childcare and they have transportation. So it is really like a holistic approach to how do we make our city healthy again? Because right now it's a ship with no captain.
Mm.
And that's where we're at right now with what we got going on.
Yeah. I would agree. And people are hurting, and they feel like they've been neglected in our city too. And so I definitely want to be sure that we are meeting the needs of the people more than anything.
I love it. Y'all are killing me. Woo. This is why I was excited. I knew it was going to be good. I hope y'all's brain juices are flowing, because mine are. One thing that seems to be couple areas that everybody wants to talk about, especially in blue cities. Okay. Crime. I mean, if the dude that's running for mayor of Indianapolis, just this week, last week, he came out with something other than crime, like crime. We also know that there are a lot of folks who don't want to be in law enforcement anymore. And I'm going to say it. You ain't got to say it because you will be their boss. But some people don't want to be in law enforcement no more because they're not going to get away with beating up black people. I said it. They didn't. I did. But it still means that we have a lack of, law enforcement. But I also don't believe that law enforcement and adding more police officers to the mix is always a resolution. Well, I don't know what the crime rates are in your cities. And Stephanie, I'm gonna start with you. But I know every blue city, they're talking about crime rates. What are you saying to your constituents when they talk to you about crime and, we need more police?
Well, we do need more. We're down quite a bit in our community for sure. But I'll tell you, it is one of the top issues that I hear when I'm talking to, residents at the doors is they want to say for Evansville, the business community saying the same thing. Mm-hmm. And so it is definitely an area that we've got to get some attention to. But what my message has been is we've got to get at the root of crime, poverty, mental health and substance abuse addiction, housing. I mean, all these things lead us into, more crime activity if we don't address them. I think the other thing, when we talk about neighborhood development, we've got abandoned homes and things that, removing the blight in our community, putting some additional lighting in areas and parks and areas, throughout the community where there's crime activity. All that plays into a holistic approach to addressing crime. And then another big thing for me is continuing our community policing work that we're doing here. I mean, I will tell you the current, leadership has done a tremendous job in being visible and extending the outreach into various areas in our community. And so continue to expand upon that, I think is also going to be important for us to kind of address crime. But we've got to look at too recruitment. I mean, it's a national issue. I don't think it's something that's going to change overnight,
Mm-mm.
but really think about how do we shift the culture. We are struggling, I think, even throughout the state and even in our county, pay. And our officers are, at the bottom of the barrel in terms of, pay and training support and equipment. And so we've got to address that as well to even garner and attract people to the police force.
Love it. Miss Angie?
And I'll say that, so we're actually doing a great job this year in recruiting. The council, we did some things differently with some bonuses and some increase in pay. And the group that we have in place, the administration, they understand it. I sit on our crisis intervention team where we train police officers on mental health and how to deal with, individuals that are having a crisis. So we're really trying to look at it from a holistic perspective. With the police department, we have a grant. Now we have a social worker on staff.
Nice.
And I just think that we can't arrest our way out of things. And people don't understand that your living conditions and your health conditions impact crime in your neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And, that is one of the reasons why, my organization, we focused on this last year on health outcomes and writing grants around food insecurity and obesity and those things, because people don't realize poverty is a direct correlation to crime.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we tend to try to police our way out of situations instead of dealing with the root cause. If we have a healthy community, we'll have people who are willing to step up for their neighborhoods. If they have a safe home to live in and it's maintained, they're more likely to defend their own property.
Baby.
Versus not. And that's where we're finding there's so many, we have a high rate of rental properties.
Mm.
And again, home ownership and development of home ownership is key and critical, because if it's mine, I wish you would come up on my property.
See, I wish you would.
Right. So I think now, as we start doing more policing and community policing and being more engaged, and then having a mayor and a city council who are part of the community and being seen in the community, mm-hmm. and providing opportunities for people to be in those neighborhoods, walking, doing events in those neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. Crime, people aren't going to come around when people are all about their neighborhood and showing up or in the streets having a good time doing stuff. They're less likely to commit a crime.
Absolutely.
So we have to figure out how we're going to engage the community to be more, I'm looking at the Neighborhood Leadership Academy, bringing that back and just building leaders up in those neighborhoods, and having more neighborhood organizations will curb some of that, because police can't do it alone.
No, they can't. And in many cases, our fine police officers are not equipped to handle some of the situations they are called in to manage. And so I love that both of you are talking about the root causes and making sure that people feel better. Because like you said, I wish you would in mine. You know what I'm saying? Right. And everybody got a Mrs. Clay when you was growing up. She was ours. Who, right. If there was rocks in the street, sweep them up, and don't be jumping around in some. There was always somebody. Mrs. Clay was ours, and she made sure that all the kids was doing what they supposed to do, and the neighborhood looked good, and our parents knew we were safe. So
people don't even talk to their neighbors like they used to. I mean, it's different. And that's why I'm like, we have to get back to that, because it's not the same. Yeah. We have got so caught up in our own, these things and, these phones and everything else and these games. And we have not communed together. Mm. I think that is where it has to start. We have to make sure that people feel like they are part of something, and I think we just haven't done that. And I will say, we have a lot of police officers recently that are local, homegrown, which has not been the case in a long time. We're seeing a shift in our police and fire, which is awesome. And I'm here for it. They're young.
I'm a little jealous because, we have here in Indianapolis.
We had three females in one class that ended up being the top cop in her class in Northwest Indiana. The other one was in a leadership position, all three of them. From Michigan City, born and bred.
I love it. And see, I'm a little jealous about that because in Marion County, the law enforcement officers can come from anywhere. So, so somebody could be, patrolling 42nd and Post Road who's from Whiteland, Indiana, and they ain't never been around people who are different than themselves, which creates a whole nother problem. Okay, so another issue that is definitely on the minds, on the brains of everyone, and this is, I think, maybe your most challenging, affordable housing. Now, I'm not talking about government assisted housing. I'm talking about I make $45,000 a year and I want to be able to afford where I live. I work 40 hours a week. I just ain't making 100,000. Talk about, Stephanie, we'll start with you again. Talk about what you need to do, because I ain't heard nobody no time this year not talk about we need more affordable housing. How do you plan to address the need for more affordable housing in your city?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you right now, I think it's close to maybe 2,000 units or so that we need in our community. Our city does a good job right now. We have Affordable Housing Trust Fund, and next year is budgeted about $500,000 that we'll be able to invest in affordable housing. And then we also, through our community development block grants, we are partnering with a number of nonprofit organizations and community development corporations that are already in the housing space. Probably, I think, yesterday or October 31st, the city, in partnership with many of these nonprofit organizations, applied for a $10 million grant that is specifically, going to impact affordable housing in our community. We also received a Promise Neighborhood grant recently. I think that's about, it's total 60 something million. Again, all of that's going to be utilized for, affordable housing, youth programming, and some other things, again, to put wraparound and support services around our young people where they live. And so I think there's a lot of opportunity for us in that space, but we've got to still get back to how do we ensure housing development can occur by cutting out some of the restrictions that people are faced with.
I love it. Mayor Angie, y'all not mayors yet. See, it's already rolling off the tongue.
Hey,
Ms. Angie.
Well, we're lagging in the sense of funding. I know we've missed some opportunities that hopefully we'll get back on track, but we know that we need it, and I call it workforce housing. We need some workforce housing, and we have to utilize the nonprofits to fill that gap. We have a newly established CDC, Community Development Corporation, that we're working with. I sit on the Redevelopment Commission. So there are some discussions and we have some locations, but we're behind. And we know that. But we have a jewel of a situation that people thought was crazy. But our prison is closing in the next 4 years.
Oh, that's a lot of employees.
Oh, but no, it's only moving 10 miles away.
Oh, okay.
So, and we don't receive any tax dollars off of it. So what happens to that land is going to be important for the future of Michigan City.
Yeah.
You're talking over 100 acres, So we are excited about that. And, and there are swaths of land that we have available, but we know that we can build the market rate homes that we want our people to be in and our workforce to be in, but we have to provide the programs and the incentives to get them in the homes. I don't want anybody to live in a home that is less than.
Right.
There's no such thing as low income housing anymore.
Right.
And I don't want anybody in a low income house. They should be able to live in the house that I live in. They just might get in that house a little differently.
Right.
Through some programs, some classes, some credits. But again, that is something that the city should be leading on. Our CDBG, organization hasn't changed in a long time as far as how they do funding, and we have to be more creative. And I think with me as a leader, we're going to be pushing forward to really reimagine what housing and what development looks like.
Man, I know that y'all cities are in good hands come January 1st, because I'm claiming it. Mayor Angie, Mayor Stephanie, I'm claiming it. I am claiming it because I moved by y'all's commitment to the details of why you want to be mayor. I am moved in, I get excited about the black woman thing probably more than anybody else because I've been around so long and I've watched so many of us get spat on by so many different people for a plethora of reasons. It's just amazing to see that we are still here and we're still climbing and we're still saying we belong. And y'all like, yes, but my city needs this. And I'm excited at the ingenuity. And something that y'all both said was that, okay, I used to think about government, public-private partnerships. Y'all said public nonprofit partnerships. And I think that is something very, very different. I'm glad y'all didn't talk to the Republican candidate running for Indianapolis. He might have actually had some ideas. Indiana's own Dana Black. We are talking to candidates today who are running for mayor. Guys, one last question, and I'm going to wrap this up because I know y'all are busy, and I swear I really do appreciate y'all taking time out. Delegating is hard. Delegating. And I know I feel like I'm Superwoman and I struggle with delegating. I literally, I don't have an assistant to help me produce a whole show and be the host and sign the guests and get all the things because I don't know how to delegate. Tell us, and I think this is a significant part of your leadership styles. So if you tell us how you plan to delegate, because there's a lot of work that needs to be done. You can't do it by yourself. How do you plan to delegate?
Yeah. I think number one is really, once I've assembled my team, us charting out, a plan for the city. I want to spend some time doing some strategic planning. I feel like, I've been told in this role, you're always in crisis mode. You're always trying to, solve a problem. And I want to be sure that not only are we doing that, but that we've cast a vision for where we want to go. So once we do that, then I think making sure that the right people are in the right seats to help get it done. And that's how, we need to engage the community. We'll be intentional about our board and commission appointments that we're going to make so that there's diversity of voice and representation there. And I think that's all going to speak into how we're able to continue to move the needle on some of these, community issues that we're faced with, because you're right, we can't do it alone. I've been saying it through my campaign. I said, anybody that steps into this seat and says that they, they're going to do it by themselves, they're a lie.
Right.
Right. The spirit of my campaign has been, we're going to move the city forward together. And, it's that collaboration that's going to make all the difference in what we can do. And we've seen it happen in our community, because I tell you, during the pandemic, our philanthropic community, they raised over $6 million and invested back into the community during the pandemic. And so I know what we're capable of as a city, and I just need to be sure that I tap into every absolute, person I possibly can to move our agenda forward.
I love it. Ms. Angie?
Yeah, and I said the same thing. And I tell people, government alone can't fix the city. It has to be nonprofits, churches, and our small businesses. I mean, it's all of us. But I will say that I believe one of my greatest strengths is in developing people. Before I left NiSource, I had a team in Virginia, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Indiana. And when you have teams that are multifaceted with different personalities, you have to allow people to make decisions and lead. And what I've been telling some of my people that I've already identified is that I'm not going to leave you hanging.
That's what's up.
I'm that person that's going to go to war for you. I'm not going to let anybody attack you. I'm going to be there for you. If it's something that we need to deal with, we'll do it behind closed doors. And then we're going to come out and we're going to deal with it. I will never leave them out there on an island by themselves. So them knowing that, understanding my leadership and my strength in communicating with different types of people is important for them to understand that, hey, I'm going to be there every step of the way. I'm going to guide you. We'll have some missteps, and that's going to be okay as we grow together. But I feel good and confident about the team that we're putting together. All ages, all generations.
Love it.
It's going to be surprising, but different. And I'm going to tell you, I believe that all the people jumped into the race for the fear of something different. All what we used to do, those days are gone.
Baby, because people kill me the way we used to do it. Honey, we used to ride in horse and buggy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't do that no more. We used to talk to each other on 2 cans and a string. I don't do that no more. I don't go back there.
And I've said it. I said it the other night. I'm going to be pretty restrictive on making sure that no one is on more than 2 boards. I really want to engage the whole entire community. And I want to stick to that because so many people feel like their voices aren't heard because everybody picks the same people to be on all the same.
And it's always the loudest people. Of course, they don't ever ask my loud behind to do nothing. They be like, ooh, keep her away. Indiana's own Dana Black, turn left. I am talking to, I'm going to get it right. Angie Deitch.
Nelson Deitch.
Nelson Deitch, who is running for mayor of Michigan City, and Stephanie Terry. Thank you, Stephanie, for having an easier name for the last name, because I'm struggling over here and I feel bad about it, because everyone deserves the respect of somebody pronouncing their name correctly, and I'm struggling. Who's running for mayor of Evansville. All right, y'all. Tell the people where they can find you and where are you going to be on GOTV Saturday. Angie, you go first. Tell the people where they can find you and where are you going to be on GOTV Saturday.
So Angie for MC, the number 4MC or FOR for MC. I own all the domains. So
come on,
AngieForMC.com. You can reach us there. Our number is 219-229-2740. Easy email for us is Angie Nelson Deitch, the number 4MC @gmail. So Saturday, we are going to be here in our office at 720 Franklin Street in Michigan City at 9 a.m. I've invited all of our candidates on our slate to come out. We are hitting all the doors that we can on Saturday. And so we will be doing that from 9 to about 3 o'clock. The polling, our early voting location at 8th and Wabash is going to be open from 8 to 3 on Saturday. So we want everybody voting early.
Love it, love it. Stephanie, tell the people where they can find you and where you're going to be on GOTV Saturday.
So you can go to our website at voteterry.com. You can follow us on social media at Terry4, F-O-R, Mayor. As well, my number is 812-777-5920. And the email is stephanie@voteterry.com. This Saturday, we are kicking off our 2-day weekend day of action. Similar to Angie, we're going to call out as many door knockers as possible. We've already reached 10,000 doors since this campaign started. And so we are going to just, reach another 1,000, hopefully this weekend. Saturday and Sunday starting at noon. And then following after that on Saturday, we've got our Black Greek sororities and fraternities that are doing a stroll to the polls. And so we'll stop by there to encourage and greet people as they're going to early vote.
You know what? Hey, I know there's some mayors around the state ain't never thought about a stroll to the polls. Come on now. Y'all better throw up your signs. Throw up your signs. I didn't get to be a Greek. So I'm just a chick over here who, I'm a LGBTQ5I. I don't. Speaking of which, hey, if you guys have noticed on the show tonight, I have been scrolling through all of our Indiana Stonewall Democrat endorsed candidates. Both Angie and Stephanie are endorsed candidates. So y'all, thank you for taking the time to fill out our application. Because yes, everybody got to fill out an application because we want to make sure that we're fair to everyone. And they took the time out to fill out an application and they were endorsed. So congratulations on your Stonewall endorsement. Indiana's own is going to be on GOTV Friday. Y'all, did y'all see Congressman Benny Thompson, the chair of the January 6th Commission, is coming to Indianapolis on Saturday? What? With Mayor Hogsett and Vop Ostley. Guess who we're going to be? The newly open, congratulations, Country Kitchen. That's where we're going to be. All the festivities start off at 8:30. So be sure to join in on the festivities. They said they had this MC that's going to be there. You might know her, Indiana's own. So be sure to join us on Saturday to kick off and go knock doors and get people hyped up to get to these polls. Because I'm telling you, who runs your city? They tell us all the time, all politics are local. Who is managing the money for your city are your city councilors. The one that's driving the direction of your city is your mayor. Okay? Do not sleep. If you don't like the way the roads are looking, you don't like the way your sidewalks are looking, the infrastructure around town, you need to go vote for somebody that's going to take care of those things. Are you noticing that you in a food desert and ain't nobody trying to bring some grocery stores or fresh vegetables to your neighborhood? You need to do something different. Have you noticed that every time you turn around, the street lights are out? Okay? Your trash ain't getting picked up on time. Don't let people fool you into thinking that, oh, this person has failed because crime is high. No, a criminal gonna do what a criminal gonna do. Okay? The only thing we can do is try to catch them, prosecute them, innocent until proven guilty, and then move them on their way. There is no mayor, nowhere in this country that can stop crime. Because if he can stop crime, he don't need to be the mayor. He need to be the sheriff. He need to be, he need to be out somewhere with a gun with some handcuffs. He need a cape on with an S on his chest, because that's not what's happening. So don't let people fool you into thinking that they can do things that they cannot do. Also, be aware of people that come up with crazy ideas at the last minute. Say like, I don't know, we're going to freeze property taxes. Yeah. Somebody came out with that this week, Jefferson Shreve. He wants to now freeze property tax. Don't matter how much stuff costs. Don't matter if inflation has impact on whether or not we can buy quality supplies for our communities or not. But it's a last ditch effort, because all the $22 million he done spent of his own money is not doing enough to move the needle. Last thing. And I promise I'm going to be done so I can let these lovely ladies be on their way to doing what they do. If your candidate has a better answer and solution for your animal care control center than they do for the humans that are suffering with mental illness or poverty or being evicted, because in Indiana, it's disproportionately black folks are being evicted than anybody else. If that candidate has a better answer on what they do with the Marion County Animal Control Center when they debate than he does for what you actually do for black and brown mortality rates, because that actually happened, that's not the person for you, because he ain't talking to you. He don't care about you. And if he's seen you in a commercial, he tokenized you. The fact that the candidate who is running for the mayor of Indianapolis could not come up with a significant answer other than I'm going to work with a hospital on black and brown mortality rates speaks volume of the fact that he is not aware of the situation. He has not taken the time to study who we are and what we need. We are 30% of the population here in Indianapolis. 30%. And the fact that the person who wants to run our city has not taken the time to understand who we are and what we need means he don't care about you. And what he will do is allow that supermajority Republican in the State House to come and undo the good work that our majority city council and our mayor has done. No, everything ain't perfect. Mayor know he could have done some things differently. But I'm taking my chances with Mayor Hogsett any day of the week over some clown that can't get enough supporters that he wouldn't have to fund his own campaign. All right, that's my second rant, because this is the last one before the election.
Right.
I need y'all to get out and vote. Ladies, thank you so much for taking time out. It was an honor and a privilege to get down and feel y'all's juices again. I've got a chance to do it at French Lick, and I was like, I got to do it again. Y'all are so amazing. Y'all are going to win. And I'm so grateful. Stephanie, I've known you for a few years now, and I've watched you shine. Angie, you shining. So keep on. And whatever you need from Indiana's Own, do not hesitate to reach out to me, because I'll be there. All right, y'all, thanks so much for tuning in. We got a lot of work to do. Get to the polls on Tuesday. I will holler at y'all next time. Peace. Turn Left is the property of Black Pearl IT Solutions. Executive producer, Indiana's Own Dana Black. Music by www.bensound.com.